Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for being here. What an incredible film. Just a big round of applause for all the filmmakers, the people that were willing to tell their stories. I want to thank you all for being here. It was an incredibly moving film that I think just resonated with everybody. I want to get the panelists out here right away. So please help me welcome to the stage some of the creative minds behind this film, the director, Osato Dixon. Big round of applause. He's coming. Producers, Kelley Hicks and Jamund Washington of KRH Films. And McKinsey Institute of Economic Mobility expert, Shelley Stewart III, whose team's research and expertise helped lay the foundation for this incredible project. So I want to say, for me personally, and I think a lot of you probably share the same feeling, it was just really an incredible film. The data points were sometimes shocking, but just the imagery and these people willing to share their stories, it really resonated with me on a very emotional level and just the data level. So again, you guys did a great job of just bringing all this to life and humanizing numbers and other statistics that sometimes we see and maybe we overlook, but these are real people in their lives, and you guys really did a great job of just demonstrating how real of a situation this is for so many people. So thank you again. So again, I'm Frank Holland, anchor of CNBC's Worldwide Exchange. I get to talk to a lot of different business leaders, but it's really a pleasure to talk about this topic, something that's very personal to me. I grew up, my parents did not go to college. My mom dropped out of high school to have me. They worked regular jobs to make ends meet. So I really felt the story of a lot of these people, and I'm very fortunate to be here with this group of people today. Osato, if you don't mind, I'll begin with you. The project really started when you came across the economic state of Black America. Tell me about that inspiration and how it led you to really make Wait Until Tomorrow, and how did it all take shape?
First and foremost, thank you, Frank, and thank you all for coming to watch the film. It's really incredible to see all your lovely faces. It's a dream come true to actually have this theater filled up, so thank you very much for that. This started around 2020, 2021, when the McKinsey Institute for Economic Mobility, started by Shelley Stewart III, and a few other amazing Black leaders at McKinsey Company, decided to do something about what was happening in our country. And I was inspired, and I kind of started to look over their shoulder and see the report being developed. And if you go to the report right now, if you just Google, State of Black America, McKinsey Company, you'll see the report, and you'll see some of the people actually in the film, because we put out this interactive article. And I thought it'd be a great idea to actually, follow these people and see how their lives could change over a period of time. I humbly asked Shelley Stewart at the time, who was just a partner at McKinsey, who's now a senior partner. And so cheers for that, of course. And also JP Julian, Sarah Prince, Tiffany Burns. And they believed in the possibility of what this could be. It was not that at that time. And they had a lot of patience. And yeah, we just started following people's lives across the country. Started out with a few folks, and then it grew. And with the partnership and production support, and who helped us find a lot of these people, my amazing producers here, this story is what you were just able to witness. So yeah,
truly an amazing story. So Kelley and Jamund, I want to come over to you. How did you get involved in this amazing project? What roles did you play a part? You just mentioned that you found some of the people to interview. Talk to us about some of the other roles you filled.
I've known Osato for years. We actually went to film school together. And actually, before I answer this, I just wanted to acknowledge, we have a special guest.
Yes.
Crystal from the film is here. Can you stand up wherever
Crystal,
you are?
please stand up.
We give her a round of applause.
There she is.
But yeah, I've known Osato for years. We went to film school together. I've known Osato so long. When we met, I had dreads down in my chest, and he had a fade. But he came to me with the source material, and it was a no-brainer to say yes to that. Like, it's such important, critical source material, the work that they've done, and so having the opportunity to create the stories that go along with that was just such a an easy thing to say yes to. And then Kelley, who I've worked with on multiple projects, we've produced Random Acts of Flyness and Queen of Glory together, was also seemed like the perfect partner for this. We were working on some things together, and then she came on board.
Yeah, and I did a lot of finding the participants. Originally, as he mentioned, just as a part of the sort of digital article, and then spent a lot of time talking with them, learning their stories, crying on the phone, and asking them to share their lives with us. I think it really brings to life the numbers of the report when you can hear people talk about their lives and their personal experience, and how it's not just percentages and dollar signs, but what can I do for my family?
Absolutely. It's a lot more than just dollar signs and numbers, but there are a lot of incredible statistics and figures in there. And Shelley, your team and you really created the research that was behind this project. You're also the only person on this panel that was actually in the film. We got to hear from you quite a bit. Could you share the significance of the report, which I've had the fortune to read, and I had you on my show to talk about it before, and just what it meant to you to see your team's work brought to life and the real people that you're talking about in this research?
First of all, Osato didn't say that the only reason I agreed to this is because he said we were going to get an Oscar. So that was the impetus for it. So let's see if how it plays out.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
And just Frank, I want to say before I do that, you passed over it, but you are in a huge seat with a huge audience, and even though we're living through this moment, you still cover this stuff. And I appreciate the courage that takes. Even though I don't like getting up that early to get on your show. But
it's 5 a.m. Monday through Friday. Just by the way.
Wonderful show. I mean, he does an amazing job. Look, the reality of it is data and statistics are important. They're interesting. They're necessary to shape policy framework. They're necessary to get institutions to move. But the reality of it is the number of people that read the 100-page report, I mean, that's a relatively small number of people, and frankly, it's a very highly engaged set of people. We're in a moment now where we have to get back to influencing culture, right, which is upstream of politics. And so how do you influence culture? You do it through the stories of people. And so for me, this is the only logical step if I have a end-to-end theory of change and impact, is to get the story out there in the world through the eyes of people who are living, or frankly, often not living the American dream. Because if we leave it in the textbooks and in the stats, and if we let people just say, hey, just forget about it, it'll all work out, that could happen. And so for me, this appeals to a much broader audience. And I am hopeful that this will contribute to at least resistance to what's happening right now. At best, maybe we can even push a step forward.
Number one, big round of applause for that. I think one of the highlights of the movie is you really highlighted black fathers. A lot of times you don't hear black fathers are involved, and some of the black men trying to create better opportunities for their families and communities. But it was really centered on the women. And Kelley, I want to come back over to you. And Crystal, it's really a pleasure to have you here. As someone who's seen a black woman bootstrap a business and start a career literally from scratch, it was amazing to see these stories. Talk to me about just highlighting the stories of these women and how they're really emblematic of the black experience unto themselves.
Sure, where I personally think that a black woman's story should always be centered. I might be a bit biased. But I do think that, we are the foundation and backbone of our communities. And I think about the analogy of like the duck on water. It's all smooth on top, but underneath, we are working. And I think a lot of times that work goes unnoticed, maybe sometimes even in our own families and communities. And so to help bring these numbers to life, it was really important to show the layered stories of black women. And they're all different. They all come from different walks of life. They all have different jobs. But they're all really focused on how can I help make my community better. And so I wanted to make sure that that was highlighted throughout. And it was, it's funny thing is that was the easiest part to do. The black women were so easy to find and so willing to share with us their stories.
Osato, I want to come over to you. The visuals are just really striking. The cinematography is amazing. The graphics, the way they're kind of just woven into the story, it really blended really well. Talk to me about the intention behind the elements, the design, and just the presentation aesthetically.
Yeah, all the portraits you saw there were not stock footage. Those are all real people from the various cities that we filmed in: Atlanta, New Orleans, Detroit, New York, Los Angeles. And so I have a background in photography, and it was really important for me that we were able to capture as many real people as possible. And black and white photography, I find, kind of places an imprint on people's memories. And especially portrait photography, you're kind of forced to look into people's eyes, and I wanted, every moment to be present as the audience was experiencing that content. The graphics, like Shelley was mentioning, we wanted to put certain numbers. I guess you could say there's headline numbers, lead numbers. It was really important that people, responded to that. And I heard some people respond when you saw certain graphics on screen. So it was a great juxtaposition. I was really happy to hear the audience response.
Just a show of hands, when the number came up that black people have 1.5% of the wealth in the country, was anybody else shocked? I was pretty shocked, and I deal with numbers, 1.5%. So Kelley and Jamund, please feel free just to jump in. When we're talking about this kind of data, these very emotional stories along with this very hard data, how did you kind of weave it all in and make it so that it was something that was not only entertaining but informative?
I think one of the things we worked really hard at, I think when you have material that's this heavy and this weighted, is making sure that the visual structure and the film language that we were creating and using are supportive of that weightiness and presented in a way that's palatable, but still allows you to understand, receive it as important as it is without it feeling like the weight of the world, so you can actually watch and take these stories in. And so I think we spent a lot of time thinking about that, both in the visual structure and the film language we were using.
Kelley, I want to come back to you. The stat about black mothers and the wealth that they had, I thought that just really took me back. Can you talk about that as we talk about the women's and their stories being centered?
Yeah, Jamund and I have a more narrative film background, and so we did a lot of work with finding the story, getting the numbers, finding the people, and then saying, okay, what story are we trying to tell? And I think that it sort of came together really organically and very easily once Osato did such a great job with talking with these people. And
all three of you did a great job, seriously.
Yes,
all four of you, excuse me.
He really did an outstanding job. Because we were asking really intimate, personal questions about people's lives, and we're asking them to share things that, aren't necessarily the headlines they want to go out into the world about what their experience has been. And so taking that work and then finding the story was just a really, really key part of everything.
Shelley, you put out so many reports just about closing the racial wealth gap and things like this. When you were putting together these stats, was there one that really maybe even caught you by surprise and one that you think this audience really needs to pay attention to?
Yeah, I think there's been a number, but there's one in particular where we took a very granular view at the county level, and we wanted to understand, are there outliers? Are there places where black Americans are living, and on average they're living as well as their white neighbors? So we did this very detailed index, health metrics, wealth metrics, education metrics, and we got to the end of the analysis, and we found that in 0.1% of the counties in the country are black Americans living at least as well as their white peers. 0.1%. And so, again, I don't have a lot of time and tolerance for this idea that the moment has shifted and moved on for us to talk about this. The reality is actually quite simple. I'm not like a extreme optimist by any stretch. I don't think my wife or family would say that, but we live in a world of abundance. And part of the premise of this institute is that it is not zero sum. In fact, it's really simple economics that if we invest upstream in the people who have the least, it will pay massive dividends economically to society that we all benefit from. So if we can live into this idea of a world of abundance and overlay this temporal component, which yes, it will take time to pay off, but it will pay off. And so we're gonna keep doing the work.
Absolutely. You know, I was really struck by the resilience of everybody, Crystal, including you, just the resilience of all the people. I mean, in very difficult situations, but really not only hopeful they could overcome, but determined to overcome. So I just want to go down the line. Is there a takeaway that you want this audience to take away from this, beyond the stats, but just a feeling maybe, or just a theme from this movie that you want them to take away? Osato, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
You know, like Shelley just said, you know, and really what's reflected in the title, we can't wait until tomorrow. That's kind of where, well, one of the sources was actually from letter from Birmingham jail about waiting till tomorrow for justice. But the idea is we should not be waiting till tomorrow to actually see change and progress. And so I'm hoping the title and the question, those ideas that, you know, we wrestle with within actually showing this film to you can actually stay with the people.
Kelley, same question.
I think we've said it a number of times here already, but that whenever you see statistics, dollar signs, remember there's always people behind that. I think it can get really easy to forget that. It's obvious when you watch the film, but you know, we all partake in news every day, and policy is being determined always, and I think we a lot of times forget that there are people behind that.
Yeah, you know, film traditionally is really good at creating empathy. It's particularly documentaries. It's great at being informative and creating empathy around a subject. And I think the hope here is that, you know, this needs action. The hope is that we can turn this empathy into action. Even if it's just, you know, a few people, but the hope is that somewhere we get empathy turned into action from this.
Shelley.
I would just say a huge thank you to all my colleagues who didn't get to sit up here, that I got to sit up here, but who contributed so much to this, along with these folks, but also the broader set of things that we're doing. I won't call names because there's too many out here in the audience, but full of gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you just applauded, but one more big round of applause for Osato Dixon, Kelley Robbins Hicks, Jamund Washington of KRH Films, and senior partner at McKinsey Institute for Economic Mobility expert, Shelley Stewart III. And so, Osato, I think you want to do like a selfie. I see you got the phone in hand. Do you want everybody to stand up for your selfie? What do you?
Is that possible?
Yeah. Can everybody
Just to prove
stand
that
up?
we were here.
He just wants to do it, so don't leave. Just stand up. He wants to do a picture of all you behind it. I saw you getting this ready the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it for you. That way
Okay, cool. You guys want to jump in this here? Yes, sir.
Are you guys ready? Yeah. 3, 2. Take a long one for the gram, too.